How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Amityville, Where the Echo Lives. This is from 2024, written and directed by Carlos Ayala. The movie stars Sarah McDonald, Breanna Rosie, and Adela Perez. And I guess with this being a later Amityville film, I should throw out a quick obligatory explanation. Basically, not too long ago, people found out that because Amityville was a real place, anyone could set their movie there and put the word Amityville in the title, even if it had no official connection to the Amityville horror. This led to a ton, and I mean a ton, of unofficial Amityville sequels, most of which are absolutely terrible. Like, for real, some of these things is just 75 minutes worth of random footage filmed on a cell phone with actors that aren't even given a script. There's some lazy filmmaking in the unofficial Amityville movies, but I had a little bit of hope for this one. I looked at the trailer. It looked like they were trying. I found this on HBO Max instead of Tubi. And now, after having watched it, I can confirm that this was a low-budget indie movie that actually tried to do something scary. They wanted to say something about death and grief and wanting to know what happens after we moved on. They are trying to do something, and that immediately puts it leaps and bounds above the lazy Amityville mockbusters. In fact, they don't even say Amityville in this movie, so I would bet that the mockbuster aspect was just added by the distributors. But sadly, just because they tried doesn't mean it's a good movie. The plot is almost incomprehensible. The scenes seem randomly strung together. It's never scary, and worst of all, it's a very boring movie. Again, E for effort. Thank you for trying. I can see that you are, but this movie's kind of a mess. I really hope that one day, one of the unofficial Amityville movies will do really well, but not today. But anyway, before I get too far, what's the movie about? No significant spoilers, but the idea with this film is you have a young woman who is a ghost hunter. Her father was a prominent paranormal investigator who recently passed away, and both to honor his legacy and to find out what happens after we pass, she has decided to take up his mantle. She starts to investigate this house where a woman was killed by a serial killer and the body was never discovered, and she sets out to try to find the ghost and maybe make peace with death. Okay, simple enough setup, but sadly not executed very well. We get lots of just rambling scenes, like it's supposed to be about her looking for the ghost, but then we get scenes where she's drinking to show she's depressed, she goes on a jog, she texts her mom, a bunch of random stuff like that that don't really add too much to the movie. We also get that she has a ghost hunting partner, but the partner is recently dealing with a breakup, so we get relationship advice via texting to him. And also, the partner's dad or something is in a hospital, and we get to talk about that for a while, but he never actually helps out with ghost hunting or really interacts with the plot in any significant way. And the movie just feels very random and happenstantial. Hey, what if we watched public domain horror movies for a little bit? Okay, I guess we can do that. And this is supposed to be scenes that help us build the character of our lead and get to know her. And while we do know a little bit about her, I never really felt like I knew her. We always felt like we were at arm's distance. We were hearing things about her, but none of it seemed to have any weight or consequence, and we never really got to know her personality as a character. So yeah, these should have been character building scenes, and instead they felt very random and unimportant. And then we get to the haunting itself. To be honest, the haunted house and the host family that lives there now have very little development, to the point where she would go into a haunted location and I wouldn't even be sure if it was supposed to be the same house or not. They had large blocks of text at the beginning of this movie explaining who the girl was, saying that she got killed by a serial killer and that her body was never found, and that eats up a ton of time, but then randomly halfway through the movie she sees on the news that they just found the body, but it's never referenced again. That's super weird. And she gets all these like dream sequences where she sees the dead girl reaching out her hand and then she's like floating in water or something, and it's just random semi-scary imagery. Like, for real, we know the mystery of the girl. She was killed by a serial killer, and the main character doesn't even find the body. I mean, it is about reaching out, but other than that, there's not really much of anything to this story. And then the scare sequences don't work either. A lot of it, like the dreams, is just random scary shots, but the scary shots never serve to tell a story. You're supposed to say, I am this character, I'm going in this room, I'm looking at this, I'm scared of that, I'm worried this might happen. But no, the scary scenes are just her sitting in a room, I guess ghost hunting, random, dark, and vaguely scary shots, and then after just wading through this randomness, maybe a door will open. Yeah, the scares weren't scary either. And I get what they were going for. They were trying to show this girl who was depressed because of death, and they were trying to ask the questions about what happens after, but when you have no story, and when you don't do a good job character building, it feels like just random inconsequential shots of this girl, and you get a story without any real twist or turns, just her sitting at the house, her sitting at the haunted house, and eventually more and more dream sequences or contact or something. Yeah, no, this movie just doesn't work. It is an absolute lack of story structure, and it's so nearly incomprehensible that it really is mind-boggling. Again, I can tell they were trying, which is better than most Amityville movies, but I don't want to lie and say it's great or anything. It's a mess, but still better than like half of them, right? So yeah, I can't really recommend this one. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Amityville playlist where you can see me talk about a lot of other mockbusters. And yes, most of them are worse than this one. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.